Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to Amateur to Ballerina. We are here again with Miss Marlena. Uh,
Hi.
you look great. You look like you're having a good week. How's it going?
Yes, this week was better than last week. I felt today was kind of the culmination of everything we've been working on. I had a finally moment where it all came together and we ran the variation and it felt great. So that was very exciting. I'm happy about that.
Good. Yeah. You had a really tough 2.5-ish weeks. And I was just like, I wanted to quit too. At one point, I was just like, I don't know, maybe she doesn't have it. Maybe she doesn't want to really do this. I have no idea. But then I kind of remembered that I've been in your position before. And the one thing you have to do is like let go of the outcome. You cannot put any one move on a pedestal. And you did a great job doing that this week. All right. So you've had a wonderful week. We've accomplished some things. What are your questions for me, my dear?
Today we worked a lot on the move that has been troublesome to me, the fondue into a releve lift, and we were kind of breaking down my hip placement because my standing leg hip was falling back and opening during my fondue. Um, so it was throwing everything off. And I realized I have this fear that if I keep my hip moving forward and I don't let it move back at all while I'm tonduing, fonduing, I won't be able to lift the working leg, or because I'm keeping myself forward, weight will drop on the working leg. So I'm just wondering how to mitigate that fear.
Okay, so let's talk about the basics.
Yeah.
One, ballet is plies and tendus and plies and tendus, and more tendus and more tendus and more plies. Like literally, that's all ballet is. And if you try to go anywhere beyond that belief that you have to do any type of extra cross training or that you can't execute the moves without anything outside of plies and tendus, you're going to abandon that idea. It all comes back to turnout. And as you know, your hips being in a neutral position that is squared off is the beginnings of your turnout. It's literally the first thing that I train with you or any student. We have to maintain neutralized, engaged hips. And then from there, you can turn out. So you have to prioritize the hips. So mitigating the fear is more so making sure that you are engaged mentally with the fundamentals and knowing that that's going to push you forward.
Yeah, I think I mentioned today that I feel like we have been going to such new levels that I haven't experienced before that I realized, oh, I think I've let go of some of those fundamentals. Like, oh, I'm really focusing on rotating my thighs, and I think because of doing that, I've lost the butt a little bit. So going back to the basics, and reminding myself, oh yeah, the hip is paramount priority. Like focus on that, and then the complicated move will happen.
Right. And as you can see, like today, as you were talking about when we're working on the fondue, you can see in this clip where when you're doing the fondue and you're not paying attention to the hip or the hip is not prioritized, you fall, you get stuck, you can't figure your way out of it. Versus in this next clip where you are perfectly, I don't want to say perfectly, it's not even perfect, it's just more precise with your hip squaredness and the attention to detail really propels you to get closer to your goal. So don't worry about getting it perfect. That will mitigate the fear. You don't care about You don't care about perfect. Perfect is subjective. You care about getting as precise as you possibly can in this moment and with what you have. And you did. And because of that, you were rewarded. So just care about precision. All right. What else do you got for me?
Something else we worked on today that I think the audience could really benefit from was passe placement in a turn. Um, I think I have this image of, oh, the retere is supposed to be, the foot should be on the side by the knee, very high up, as turned out as possible. And we kind of played around with, oh, where, especially in my body specifically, should my leg be for maximum turnout? And it wasn't, side on the knee at all. It was we came up with a couple positions, some overcrossed, some more like a coupe position. And it was different on both legs. Like what my right positioning was different for the left. So I guess the question would be, how do you discover in your body where the retrograde position should be so your turn has maximum turnout?
Okay, so again, ballet is plies and tendus and plies, right? So let's just say your pirouette is more of a tendu, just for simplification. It's much more than that, but we'll just say it's a tendu. Do we ever prioritize the foot placement in a tendu? No, right? So why would we do it in a pirouette? We prioritize the hip placement, right? And for some of us, when we first start training our pirouette, you're not going to have a high passe that's above the knee or at the knee or to the side of the knee. Some of you are going to have a very overcrossed position to begin with, because that is where your hips can stay neutral and squared off. That's where you can have all of those 8 points or 6 points or 4 points or however many turnout points that you guys are working with are aligned. And until you can prioritize that, you're going to have issues with one hip being higher than the other. And it's usually the passe leg. And until you can turn at least half turns with neutral squared off hips, you're gonna, it's going to be a bit of a back and forth, inconsistent with your turns. Prioritize the hips, basically. Prioritize the hips over the foot. The foot does not matter in your pirouette. That's why you can do pirouettes in several different positions.
Hmm.
And you don't want tension there. You really don't want tension in your foot. You want all of the engagement to really be in your turnout.
Since we're talking about feet, and of course they're not the priority. We just talked about the hip is always the priority. However, on point, I had a little moment on Monday or Tuesday where I kind of had to stop, and you could tell I was going through something, and you asked, what are you thinking right now? And I said, I don't think you want to know what I'm thinking. And you
And
said,
I said, you'd be surprised.
uh-huh. Yeah. So I told you, I said, I am feeling like I don't look like a dancer. Like my feet don't look like they quote unquote should look like in point shoes. I felt my arms didn't look like a ballerina either. I didn't feel like I was lifted and light enough like a dancer looks on point. So how do I navigate something like that? Even though I know the feet aren't important, I still have this image that because my feet look a certain way in the shoe, I'm not progressing, or I'm failing in some way.
And by the way, this is completely 100% understandable, considering all of the information and the media that is out there that represents ballet, that really prioritizes beauty before fundamentals. I get it. I was the same way. And I hope that you can truly believe me when I say if you prioritize the fundamentals, the beauty will happen. And as you can see, whenever I show you a clip of yourself where you are prioritizing the fundamentals, you don't even care about your feet because they're already gorgeous. You know, like you see that the fundamentals really kind of get you most of the way there to the beauty that you desire. But the moment that you prioritize the small details, you're going to fall backwards. I will say this thing, which I read on, it was like a quote on Instagram. And it was, women who want to do big things, don't let the little things bother them. And then I also want to say, ballerinas who want to make a big difference, who want to conquer amazing choreography, build their engine and their transmission first. They don't decorate their car. Prioritizing feet and fingers and eyelashes first is like building the exterior of the car, but you have no engine, no transmission, nothing to actually drive the car. So, you know, we're still building the engine and the transmission. And for the most part, you got most of it built. But whenever you forget to prioritize those things, it's like, honey, we don't care about the color of the car yet. You know, we're still trying to get it in drive, you know? So making sure, again, that you prioritize things. And I, as your technician or teacher or instructor, however you want to think of me, that's also my job. I have to make sure you stay focused on the things that actually matter, the things that are going to get you through this variation. Okay, so you've conquered. We know that you are, technically speaking, ready for this variation on point. Like, it's really cool that you are ready to go. You can do everything technically on point and beautifully. So now it is about building stamina and adding artistry. And it's going to be a very intense week. So you're going to need to prioritize recovery. You're going to need to prioritize your mental health. There are going to be times where you feel like you are Wonder Woman, and there are going to be times you feel like her maid. And it's going to be important for you to remember these last 2.5 weeks, the last 2.5 weeks where you were struggling. You know, it's you will come out on the other side if you choose to do it with grace and you are kind to yourself. If you remind yourself that you're capable of showing up and figuring it out. Everything is figure outable. It's whether you want to actually figure it out or not. And I have a feeling that you do, because you've been with me for a long time.
Yeah, it's going to be 2024 soon. So
I know.
approaching 4 years.
I know. It's cool. I think it's amazing. Next year, you got a whole different set of things that we're going to be working on. I wouldn't say a whole different set. It's not completely, you're still going to be doing class. It's just that your class will have more detail in it now. You notice every year we up the ante. We up the ante. And yeah, that's honestly, you're doing great. You're on your way. Very proud of you. You did such a stellar job this week. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please feel free to subscribe and comment. Let us know if you have any questions, or, you know, just want to say hi, or that you enjoy the show. We thank you so much for watching this, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.